Thanks for staying with us. Let's bring you some national news now. On the back foot in the face of multiple scams, the Prime Minister today defended himself and his government in the Parliament session. Dr. Singh spoke at length on various issues dogging his government, including the 2G scam. The Prime Minister said the 2G spectrum policy was not wrong, but it was the implementation that was at fault. He pointed out that it was a sound policy that had led to the telecom boom in the country. But he also added that if there was a scam, it would be dealt with.
That as far as the telecom policy that was sought to be implemented by the United Progressive Alliance government, the basic policy, there was nothing wrong with that. And it was consistent with the advice given by TRI. It was consistent with the objective need that we all felt at one time, that the maximum tele density must become accessible and an enforceable target. If there is a scam, it must be dealt with. The law of the land must punish the wrongdoers. But we must not overlook also the fact of this tremendous growth of the telecom sector, which has taken place as a result of sound policies pursued by our government.
Well, earlier on, there was chaos in the Rajya Sabha as the Prime Minister took a question on the ISRO-Davis deal, disclaiming that the Prime Minister's office had any responsibility in giving the approvals for the controversial deal. Emphasizing once again that the deal never came up to the government level, Dr. Manmohan Singh put the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of ISRO's commercial division, Antrix. This provoked outraged responses from the opposition, who demanded to know how it was possible that the Prime Minister's office did not know.
The Antrix Corporation entered into a commercial contract in January 2005 with Devas Multimedia Services for lease of true transponders to be built by ISRO. This was done under its own authority, but Antrix needed government approvals for operationalizing the contract. These were not given. In particular, the operating licenses and regulatory approvals from various ministries were also not given, and hence the contract did not become operational. In the light of complaints that emerged and the growing national security and strategic requirements, the government undertook a review of the contract in December 2009. This was followed by a decision of the Space Commission in July 2010 to annul the contract. Since then, the government has taken a policy decision that in the light of the country's strategic requirement, it will not be able to provide orbit slot in a test band to Antrix for commercial activities, including for those which are the subject matter of existing contractual obligation for S-band. Action has been taken to annul the contract in pursuance of this decision.
But there was a bitter war of words on the 2G scam after Minister Kapil Sibal accused the NDA regime of beginning huge losses. Quoting the CAG report, Mr. Sibal said that the loss to the exchequer due to spectrum allotment during the NDA regime ran into 12,000 crore rupees.
I want to make it clear.
Let him speak.
I want to make it clear that I will not go to say anything on the merits of the JPC report. I just want to give the breakup so that the honourable members of the opposition are informed as to what the facts are. 36,993 crores is attributed to spectrum that was given beyond 6.2 megahertz. The CAG has himself calculated that spectrum given during the NDA regime beyond 6.2 cost the nation 12,214 crores. That is the loss to the revenue that the NDA regime caused according to the CAG, not according to me.
news just coming in. A 26-year-old student has committed suicide by hanging from the ceiling at one of the hostels inside the IIT Madras campus. In his suicide note, he has regretted that he's failed to succeed in one of his exams. Joining us over the phone line with more inputs is our crime reporter Salim. Salim, what more do we know about this boy? Is he a native of Chennai or has he come in from another state?
The student is from Andhra Pradesh. Sources from the police department say that the student committed suicide last night in his hostel room. The police broke open the door and shifted the body to Roypata Government Hospital for a postmortem examination. Meanwhile, the boy's relatives were informed. After the postmortem examination, the boy was handed over to his relatives. They are taking the body to Tirupati. Police investigation revealed that the student was having a tough time with his studies. Normally, students complete their MTech program in 5 years, but this particular student was doing it for almost 7 years now. The police say he committed suicide due to frustration. When we analyze the reports, it is well known that people pursuing their course at IIT committing suicide is not uncommon.
Right. Salim, is the police also ruling out any chances of ragging here in this case?
Yeah, the police very clearly say that their investigation revealed that it's a case of suicide due to frustration. The police have ruled out, the police have very clearly said that it is not a case of ragging.
Right. Thanks very much indeed, Salim, for joining us with your inputs there. Once again, a case of academic pressure pushing someone to really take that extreme step. Well, in some more national news, a day after they were arrested, Lalit Bhanot and VK Verma, senior officials of the organizing committee of the Commonwealth Games, have been granted 5 days CBI custody. The CBI has sought a 7-day remand of Bhanot and Verma and said both are highly influential and there is all likelihood of them tampering with the evidence. It also said both were needed to expose the larger conspiracy. Bhanot and Verma were arrested in connection with the procuring of timing and scoring systems from a Swiss company at grossly exaggerated rates. In some international news now, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is set to be extradited to Sweden to face allegations of rape and sexual assault, a London court ruled today. Assange has been fighting extradition since he was arrested and bailed in December. He is likely to appeal against the ruling and has consistently denied the allegations made by 2 women in August last year. Mr. Assange fears that an extradition to Sweden would make it easier for Washington to extradite him to the United States on possible charges relating to the release by WikiLeaks of the leaked US embassy cables. Now, with former IPL commissioner refusing to accept summons asking him to appear, the Chennai police has now decided to send a team to Modi's Mumbai residence to hand-deliver the summons. It was the BCCI's Secretary N. Srinivasan who had filed a criminal complaint against Modi, alleging the misappropriation of funds to the tune of 470 crore rupees.
Yeah, we've been consulting our legal advisor. So what has been suggested is that since we have been sending since we have sent earlier to summons the courier post, it has been suggested that we should directly go and serve the summons in Bombay, and that is what we are planning to do. We'll be sending a team, and we'll try to serve the summons on them. If they're not available, we'll paste it and come back.
Time now to get down to business with our special segment, Business Line. Well, the markets have come under huge selling pressure today with the sell-off that's come ahead of the futures and options expiry. The Sensex has fallen 485 points to 17,693 and the Nifty declining 148 points to 5,289. Global sentiments have turned negative because of the spike in crude prices due to the unrest in Libya as well. Barring the Chinese indices, all Asian markets closed with deep cuts. In fact, the European markets have opened lower. Well, indeed, a bad day in the markets there, but here's a quick roundup of all the news from that quarter.
Seems like nothing seems to be going right for the Lal Street. The markets once again coming under serious selling pressure. The Nifty and the Sensex seeing a crack of over 3%. The Nifty ended trade well below that 5300 mark at 52.62. The Sensex also selling of about 600 odd points. The breadth of the market was very disappointing. Total turnover traded was about 3 lakh crores, which is the largest ever seen in the Indian markets. Talking about the Nifty 50 stocks, there were only 3 stocks that managed to close the day in positive territory. 47 of those 50 stocks ended deeply in the red. JP Associates, Asa, L&T and Reliance Industries were the top losers on the Nifty in terms of price and volume action. Sectorally speaking as well, all sectors ended in the red with losses in the range of 2 to 4% each. Banking stocks led the losses. Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Yes Bank were the top losers from the banking space. Sectors that are sensitive to crude prices also saw a sharp cut, so be it autos and airlines, both those sectors ending the day in negative territory. Tata Motors down 7.5%, M&M, Bharat Forge and Ashok Leyland were the other stocks topping the auto pack in terms of the kind of losses that we saw in trade today. OMC saw a huge cut on back of rising and soaring under recoveries. Petronet down 4.5%, BPCL, HPCL and IOC also seeing a cut in the range of 3 to 4.5% each. Capital goods and infrastructure, those sectors clearly seem to be back on the selling radar the minute the sentiment turns in the markets. Reliance Industries Infra down 10%, Praj Industries down 8%, Crompton and Punj Lloyd were the other top losers coming in from this space. Well, that was the markets, a very disappointing trading session. Once again, it's not just international worries but domestic concerns once again taking center stage on the Lal Street.
Now, with the World Cup series having made a landing in the nation, the fans are up against the worst of disappointments. Up ahead, after website worries, it's a lathi charge that they have to confront.